Framber Valdez has signed a massive contract with the Detroit Tigers, 3 years, $115 million, with an opt-out after the second year. This one seemingly came out of left field. I think we had been hearing the rumors all day, kind of about the Pirates being interested in Framber Valdez, although probably was never true. I don't know how they were really going to ever offer that kind of contract. Maybe if it was a one-year deal, they would have been more in the realm. But we had been hearing the Pirates. Prior to that, we had been hearing the Orioles. Prior to that, we had been hearing the Mets. John Heyman threw the Blue Jays name into the ring. There had been a lot of teams linked to Framber Valdez, but one of the teams that we did not see was the Detroit Tigers. So maybe I'm not tapped into Tigers Twitter enough. Maybe I'm not tapped into the Tigers news. But to me, this was a huge surprise, and I gotta say, I absolutely love this move. I do think that people are sleeping on Framber Valdez a little bit. I think because of that weird incident that happened at the end of the season with the Astros where he basically hit his catcher on purpose and mixed him up on purpose through the wrong pitch, drilled him in the chest. It's a weird thing. Kind of felt like he was being blackballed a little bit, but at the same time, I guess that is a character issue, and that's something that if you're going to give a player $100 million or $38 million a year like the Tigers are going to, it's something that you're going to consider when giving a big contract out like that, and it did seem like it affected Framber Valdez's market a ton. That being said, wow, he got paid. That's a lot of money. That's a great deal for Framber, especially with the opt-out after 2 years. I mean, it's not the best contract ever. I'm sure he still wanted a 6-7 year type contract like you saw Max Fried sign, like you saw Dylan Cease sign. Heck, I think he probably would have even loved to sign the Rangers Suarez deal. But for Framber, who did kind of end the second half of the season last year, not the greatest. And while he's been a good playoff pitcher, there's been times where he's looked mortal in the postseason. I think this is a good place for him to go. He's back with A.J. Hinch, who, of course, used to be the Astros manager. He's in a very, very pitcher-friendly park. Like, he's going for Minute Maid where he kind of was at a disadvantage as a pitcher. It's definitely more hitter-friendly than pitcher. Now he goes to Comerica out in Detroit, where it's a weaker division, although the Central has gotten better, and it is a much more pitcher-friendly park. It's not the biggest difference, again, because Framber is such a ground ball pitcher, but at the same time, this does help him out, and he should pitch better in Detroit than he did in Houston. It just kind of makes sense. I know I just rambled for about 2 minutes, but make sure you are subscribed to the channel so you don't miss out on this. Of course, I'm also going to be uploading a reaction alongside my co-host James on the windup. If you want to see that, link in the description to the channel. Make sure you subscribe over there for more baseball content. This is more, again, about my initial reaction. That Framber video on the windup tomorrow will be after we have some time to sleep on it, think on it, see exactly where the pieces lay. What's funny about this Framber deal is that I feel like a lot of people didn't celebrate it. Maybe even Tigers fans didn't celebrate it as much as maybe they should, because immediately what comes to mind is what's going on with Tarik Skubal and the Tigers. And that's kind of a lame way to think about it, but also you can't help it. Like, Framber Valdez just signed. You should be excited. You should be celebrating. But it does also feel like a bit of Tarik Skubal insurance in case he does leave next offseason, which to me seems like the most likely outcome. Now, of course, there's the arbitration hearings going on with Tarik Skubal. We're going to hear all about that as the week goes on and on. We'll find out if he won, if they settled, where the money ended up. But he's trying to get a record-breaking deal in arbitration, and the Tigers are trying to not give him that much money. I don't think that's the smartest move. I think when you have this ace pitcher who's going to be hitting the free agent market 100%. I would want to keep him as happy as possible. Feels a little short-sighted to me. That's not the point of this video, not the point of what I'm trying to talk about. I think a lot of people think that signing Framber Valdez means that Tarik Skubal is gone. And while I do think that this is a good insurance option in case Skubal does leave in free agency, or if for some reason the Tigers are god-awful and they have to trade him at the deadline, I don't necessarily think that's the case. I actually think it's a little bit the opposite. I think that Framber Valdez, worst case scenario, is going to be insurance. And I do think that there is kind of a best case scenario where this Tigers team feels like they were one pitcher away from making a real run at the World Series last year. You know, they had that epic game with the Mariners. Going into extra innings, the Mariners end up moving on. Maybe one pitcher in that series could have been the difference between going into extra innings in the final game of the series and the Tigers moving on to play the Toronto Blue Jays in the ALCS, who the Mariners took all the way to 7 games. And then maybe the Tigers could have been the team playing the Blue Jays, and maybe the Tigers move on and they go to the World Series. To me, Obviously, this is a win-now move. We know that. It's a free agent signing. And when you do look at this rotation, it is so much better than what it previously was. Because obviously now it's headlined by Skubal and Framber Valdez. Jack Flaherty, again, I still think is absolutely horrible, but he's probably like a 4 ERA pitcher. I don't think he's good. I don't think he's a frontline starter, but it's like a 3-4 option, not the worst. Casey Mize at times last year looked pretty good. Didn't he make the All-Star team? And even Reese Olson, who has battled with injuries, but when he does pitch, he's consistently very solid. So, like, there's a high floor on this rotation, along with a pretty high ceiling in that Tarik Skubal is the best pitcher in baseball. If it's not Paul Skeens, it's him. He's at least the best pitcher in the American League. And Framber Valdez has been one of the more consistent pitchers in baseball over his time with the Houston Astros in the past few years. He had been a quality start machine at one point where it was just quality start after quality start after quality start. And this, without a doubt, makes the Tigers the clear and obvious favorite in the AL Central. They already were, but this now puts them a clear rung ahead of where I think the Cleveland Guardians and Kansas City Royals both stand. I think in terms of the American League, it puts them towards the top again. I mean, I think right now, in my opinion, it's going like Yankees, Red Sox, Blue Jays. I think those teams are better. I do think this pushes them ahead of the Baltimore Orioles. I still think they're kind of even with the Mariners, but that's a good place to be. If you're like one of those top 5 teams in your league, you have a legit chance to make the World Series, especially because you're not in the same league as the Los Angeles Dodgers. The path is just easier for the Tigers. But getting a guy like Framber in a playoff series, like there's a chance you're seeing Tarik Skubal and Framber Valdez twice in a 5-game series, and definitely seeing them twice. So that's 4 of the 7 games in a 7-game series will be pitched by Tarik Skubal and Framber Valdez. That's fantastic. From a roster building standpoint, the roster's good enough to get to the playoffs. From a playoff building standpoint, this rotation can do enough damage to be scary come postseason. And we know they have a loaded farm system. We know that they can move off some pieces. Maybe they go out and move some guys at some point for another starting pitcher to make this rotation even stronger. The bullpen's pretty solid. I love what they did with Kenley Jansen. Again, I would have loved to have seen them aggressively pursue more hitting, but it seems like they're pretty comfortable here, and maybe a big reason why is because they expect Kevin McGonigal to be up on this team early, so that does help them out with the bat, helps them out being a better team offensively. And I do still like their pitching depth. Like Troy Melton, I think is going to be very good. Ty Madden is good depth. Cater Montero, Sawyer Gipson-Long, great depth arms just in case there is an injury. I like the way that this Tigers team is built, and getting Framber Valdez again not only makes their ceiling higher, but it significantly raises their floor. Getting another high-caliber frontline starter arm in that rotation is exactly what this team needed. Would have loved to see more offense, but if you're not going to get offense, lock up that pitching game. Framber Valdez is really good. I don't want that to be lost in the sauce of this video. Framber is really good. He does something that a lot of pitchers in baseball struggle to do, and that is simply Framber Valdez is one of the best pitchers in baseball at getting ground balls. The sinker's unbelievable. The curveball at times is unhittable, and it's relatively platoon neutral, so he's getting guys out from both sides of the plate while also forcing you to just drill the ball into the ground. And because of that, his barrel rate's very low. He doesn't give up many runs. Like last year, you could say that Framber was kind of shaky and had a 3.6 ERA. The year before, 2.9. For his career, 3.36. Whip at like 1.1, 1.2. And he's going to give you about 190 innings a year. The guy is durable. He goes deep into games. I absolutely love it, and I would like to see what Framber Valdez does in Detroit back with AJ Hinch in a new organization. Maybe there's a tweak in his game to get even more out of Framber over this possible 3-year stretch. I mean, they're locked in for 2 years. He has the opt-out. If you're a Tigers fan, you almost are rooting for the opt-out because that means Framber Valdez is pitching really well. And that means he thinks he can get even more money at age 34. But also at the same time, that means he's balling out. And if he's balling out, that means the Tigers are balling out. So I really do like this move. And again, we can look at Fangraphs. We can look at Baseball Savant. We'll even look at Baseball Reference here. Like, let's just take a look at what he's done since 2021, where he basically became a full-time starter for this team. You're looking at a guy who has thrown 902 innings, a 3.2 ERA, a whip at 1.17, ERA plus at 128. He's finished inside the top 10 of the Cy Young voting 3 times. He's gone over 190 innings 3 out of the 5 seasons. One of those 5 seasons, by the way, again, only 22 starts. And while the K rate isn't out of control high, like you would love to see him get more swing and miss, that's just kind of not really his game. It's getting you to hit the ball into the ground, getting you to not do damage, and Framber Valdez is exceptionally good at that. So yes, I love this move by the Tigers, and I don't think it signals anything about the Tigers moving Tarik Skubal this year. I'd be shocked. It seems like the ask is incredibly high, and I just don't think there's going to be any team that meets it. and the Tigers don't need to trade him right now. This roster, I think, is good enough to be a World Series contending team. At the absolute worst, I think it's good enough to be an American League World Series berth contending team. Because again, the Dodgers are a different beast. And for an organization that I've criticized openly this offseason for not doing enough, not putting their foot on the gas, this was a move that was completely unexpected. Didn't think it was happening. And once it did, I loved it. I think this is a great move, like 5 out of 5. Fantastic. I'd love to know what you guys think about the Framber Valdez signing down in the comment section below. Give me your thoughts and opinions. I feel like Framber Valdez is quite controversial this offseason, so let me know what you're thinking. Drop a like on the video if you did enjoy it, as well as subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any of the content coming at you, as well as subscribe to the windup. Link will be in the description if you want to hear even more of my conversation about Framber Valdez. You can follow me on all my social media, GiraffeNeckMarc. Links are in the description. That's where I'll wrap it up. You guys know the drill from here on out. YouTube recommends you watch this video. This is my most recent upload. Click through those if you have not yet seen them. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.